Waking up at sunrise.
This isn't about looking the part. It's about making it. Welcome to the making of a female CEO, where power, grit, and purpose collide.
Today, I have the profound honor of interviewing a friend and an accomplished, straight out of Southside Chicago, this award-winning media powerhouse. Tigo went from a sharecropper's daughter to serial entrepreneur with a Ph.D. in entrepreneurship and media innovation. She's the fearless founder behind the now honors SVTV Trailblazer Awards and the unapologetic Power of Pink Summit. With over 700 episodes of expert talk with Tigo under her belt and her own streaming network, SVTV, lighting up the screens, she's helped countless experts turn their message into movements, their voice into brands, and their story into legacies. Tigo's not just talking media, she's rewriting the rules. Tigo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sis.
You came from a sharecropper legacy and built a streaming network. What lie about success did you have to unlearn first? And what did it cost you to let it go?
Which time? The first lie is the things you hear on TV. Not as much. I'm 61 years old, so it wasn't internet back then. It was TV. And you thought, oh, yeah, they struggle. Then you go to a break and then they come back and they find the secret. And then they start doing it. And in 30 minutes or less, they're rich. So they can do that in 30 minutes or less. I can do it in a year, right? I mean, of course I can. I'm pretty smart. Why can't I? Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And you don't realize that, the journey means it's a journey. It's work. I have so many people come to me and say, oh my goodness, I just want to own my business so I don't have a boss. I got news for you. Every client is your boss when you own your own business. That's how it works. And they're all your VIP bosses and they all want their stuff yesterday. That's how it works. People don't realize it. So you realize that it's work. It's not magic. You realize that being an entrepreneur or being successful has different meanings other than just money. Because sometimes money can drive you more crazy than not having it. Having it can be worse sometimes. So the whole journey has been different. That's the point of a trailblazer. That's what I teach a lot of times, is that when you're a trailblazer, you're out on that path that's not even a path yet. You're falling in holes and tripping over every obstacle and you cannot see, and you got this little torch and you're going against the world. But guess what you're doing? You're making a path for the people that are coming behind you. So my advice, get behind a trailblazer that is doing what you want to do and learn from them. It'll speed up your journey. They'll help you navigate the road a lot faster. And before you know it, you'll be way past what you defined as success way before you even thought you could do it.
When people, they're shifting and making that E to E transition from employee to entrepreneurship, they think, I get to be my own boss. And you're like, you've gone from maybe having 1, 2, 3 bosses to now every client is your boss. They're all VIPs with VIP expectations.
Absolutely.
You've helped thousands amplify their voice. What's one truth about your own voice that took you years to own, and why?
Great question. Let me just tell you, great question. And the answer, super simple, and you're going to think I'm kidding. Realizing I have one. The old saying is those who can't teach, right? So it's like, I can teach you how to do an interview, how to get out in public, how to raise yourself up, how to make 7 figures. I can teach you that. But see, I don't listen to my own voice half the time. So the advice that I'm giving myself, I'm not listening to. So then I get a coach. I have 3 actually, and they help me understand my voice and listen to my voice. Because the one person you doubt usually on this journey is you. When you can have confidence in yourself, that's half the battle. Trust me, that is half the battle. It doesn't matter if 100,000 people tell you you're a star. If you think, no way, I'm a failure, I'm never going to be there, they don't understand, anything anybody else says will work. That's why my favorite quote in the world is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, because it's true. If you think you can't get on an airplane, Nothing I can do to make you get on there. It's all starts here. So yeah, that's what I learned.
And you're absolutely right about the mind. You're the captain of the ship and you give it the commands. Whatever you say is what it is. The other tidbit you mentioned is realizing that each of us has a voice and you can find it or you can create your own voice. In a sea of sameness, be yourself because everyone else is taken. Let's talk about legacy or impact. If you could only build one, which would you choose and how would it change what you're doing now?
That's interesting because can you build one without the other? If you're not making impact, then what's your legacy built on? If you're building impact, but not thinking about where it's going beyond your personal circle, then what's it all for? So I don't know if you could do one. I know I can't speak for others. I couldn't do one without the other. I'm not self-centered that it's all about me, 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 me. And if it was all about me, then that's not true legacy. I'm just hoping people remember me and say, oh, how fantastic I was. That's not legacy to me. And I'm in a different position. I was an adopted child. You mentioned earlier in the intro that I was with sharecropper parents. Our parents were older and they adopted me in the 60s. Imagine, genius IQ, dyslexic, 6-month-old kid. And they're in their 40s and they're labor workers. I don't think they knew what they were getting into, you know? So my parents have passed away a long time ago. They were born in the 20s. And I didn't physically, I'm a bonus mom and a bonus grandmom, but I didn't physically have kids. So there's no one above me anymore, nobody above me. And I have no biological kids and generations coming below me. So my legacy isn't about blood. It's about the people that I can touch and the people I can help and help them on their journey. And I can't do that unless I'm being impactful, because how are they listening to me if I'm not speaking? If I'm not leading, then how do they know which direction I'm even going on? Because I don't want them to follow me. I'm a huge believer in that saying, you don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Walk beside me and do this journey together. I'm a huge believer in that. But in order for us to do any of that, we have to be making an impact on this life, on this planet, whatever it is you believe in order to leave a legacy behind for the people to follow and maybe have just a couple of extra steps ahead than what we had when we started. So that's my answer, if that's an answer.
So if you're not making an impact, what are you building it for? What is
Right.
it all for? And what if your legacy was beyond your immediate lineage and expanded to your clients, subscribers, humanity? That's what I see in what you're talking about. You mentioned a little bit about your upbringing. Coming from that background, what did you have to give up, push through, tear down so you could get to where you are now?
Well, when you come from a background of parents that were sharecroppers in the South, I was born in Gary, Indiana, raised in Chicago, Illinois. My dad worked at the steel mill in Gary, Indiana. My mother was literally a seamstress in a sweatshop for over 30 years. And when you come from that environment, my dad having a union job was like a superhero in our family. It wasn't about being a doctor or a lawyer. It was about having security. So when I grew up, when I was 8 years old, my dad took away my allowance on my birthday. This is my dad's great idea, and told me to get a job. Well, he told me I was getting a job, and I thought, great, this is going to be fun. And he got me a paper route. I'm on the south side of Chicago. You barely let me cross the street by myself at 8. So I'm thinking this is the world's smallest paper route in life because I can go to the 2 houses next door and the 3 in front of me, and that's it. No, his genius idea was that he was going to follow me on the weekends with the car and let me ride around and do that. Well, paper routes are 5:36 in the morning. On his days off, that didn't last that long. But my dad wanted me to know what money was about, how money works. And he wanted me to get a union job. This was the dream. Oh my gosh, you get not college, not any of that. Get out of high school. You're the first generation in our family to graduate high school and then go get a great union job. So when I told him I wanted to own my own business, And then I was going into the military. Literally, he told me to get out the house. Couldn't leave the back porch, but get out the house until I realized the union put food on the table. So my first breakthrough was getting my dad to let me back in the door and realizing that there's other ways to do this, Dad, other than being in a union. So yeah, that was the first part of my steps.
A lot of times there are hurdles, and I'm going to call it the fires of Mordor, right? These are the things that we walk through that shape and develop us. All of it brought us to these moments, gave us inflection points and developed our character. You've honored countless trailblazers. I have had the honor of bestowed upon me of Innovator of the Year. What's something you wish people would stop celebrating and start challenging in the world of female entrepreneurship?
Ooh, I don't know if I want to answer that one. That could get me in trouble. Ooh, for me, false joy. And to me is, and what do I mean by that? Let's see. One of the praises we get at the Now Honors, and it was a pleasure and an honor to honor you. One of the things that we get there is everybody says at the end of the 3 days, oh my gosh, it feels like family. Oh, I can't wait till next year. My sister, my sister, my sister. And usually when you go to an event, especially a women's event, it's competition. It almost feels like high school again. You got the geeks on one side and the cheerleaders on the other. The ones that feel like they're the VIPs and they want to be behind the red robe. And then the ones that are just scared and they go to the top of the house and I don't want to say anything because people may realize that I haven't even started my business yet. I'm just figuring it out, or I just work a regular job. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's not praise the ones that you think need to be praised because they're carrying $15,000 purses. A lot of times, those people carrying those $15,000 purses are renting them for the event. In case you didn't know, yes, you can rent those. Or they're in so much credit card debt that, yes, they are executives, they're entrepreneurs, but they've got more debt than you and probably 5 of your friends, and they don't want to talk about it. So when you come into our house, into our family, we don't care what your titles are. We don't care how much money you have in the bank or what kind of shoes or purses you carry. We are a family. There are no assigned seats, and we do not do name tags. Why? No false joy. Get to know Mary for Mary, Sue for Sue, Sophia for Sophia, not for who you think they are, but who they really are. And guess what happens when you get to know them? All those walls that they had to keep up to protect themselves, they let them down a little bit. And they get to be just that person for a few days. That's pretty cool. So that's what I think.
Such great stuff. This is so incredible. There's so many tidbits about that. False joy. That's just a really great way to put it. And what if authenticity and support and empowerment and encouragement was all that we really needed to just push each other up?
Yeah, absolutely.
If SVTV disappeared tomorrow, what part of you would still be unstoppable and what part would feel lost?
No part would feel lost. All of me would still be unstoppable. That doesn't change. I had somebody when I was 19 years old tell me, hey, when you're in your 20s, you're going to blow it. That's human. That's what's going to happen. In your 30s, you're going to learn from it. In your 40s, you're really going to start understanding who you really are. And in 50s, you start living your life. And then after that, it's your world on a string. And I thought she was crazy. I'm like, what? No, that's not happening. That's exactly what happened in my life. And when you get in your 50s or 61, as I am today during this interview, there's nothing. I don't want any of my business to go away, knock on wood. I'm not saying that. But if it did, it must have been a reason for it to happen. I'm going to sit back, maybe cry a little bit, and then tomorrow I'll get up and build the next phase. That's what it is about me. That's what we do. So, nope, nothing.
That is what we do. At 61, you achieved your doctorates in entrepreneurship and media with an emphasis in technology. What was that like to take that on with all of your responsibilities, all your projects? And in the age of AI, do you still feel that education is necessary?
Oh, okay. So as a techie, necessary is a double-edged sword. It really is up to the person if it's necessary. There's still jobs out there and careers out there that require these little initials behind the end of your name, these little diplomas hanging on your wall. If that's the journey you're going on, great, go get them. That's what school is all about anyway. It's teaching you how to be a worker. And the higher you go, the more you get paid to work. That's what it's about, to me, my opinion. But for me, I never thought I needed the degrees and all that. That wasn't what I wanted. I started my first business when I was 10. So it's like I've had this entrepreneurial gene in my body since I was 10, the good, the bad, and the interesting. So I'd learned from everybody and everything. I think you have to learn nonstop. You can never stop learning. The minute you stop learning, you stop growing. That's my opinion as well. But it depends on what career you're taking. I literally went down this path for Ph.D. and the degrees and all of that for my parents. It was important to my mother. She was determined, even though she was a sharecropper and could only go to school a couple of months out of the year in between planting and harvesting. She was determined to get out of elementary school, to graduate from 8th grade. Mind, she did it at 16 years old, but she did it. That was important. So when she adopted a child, that's all I heard. You got to get your diplomas. You got to get your degrees. You got to. My mother passed in 2007. I still hear her in my ear saying, you got it. So when I finally got that opportunity and they said, yeah, we can do this and we want to do this with you, I thought, Mom's listening to me, go, I'm going, let's do it. Because somewhere my mother's watching going, you got to. And now, let's see if I can grab this thing. Now, Mom, there's a little plaque that goes on the wall for you, Mom, that says Ph.D. and I earned it. And I know she's happy about it. And that's great. The other reason why I did is I have grandsons. Right now, 5, 10, and 19 going on 35. He thinks he knows everything. And it's like, I want them to know that is it important that they go all the way to get their doctorate? Only if that's what they want to do. But it's really important for them to go for whatever it is. They're not going to sit back on my watch, prior Navy, on my watch, and wait for somebody to come deliver it, AI or not. Get your butt up. And the thing about AI, guess what? If you don't have some kind of education, AI is as smart as the questions you ask it. Not asking the right questions, not getting the answers you're looking for. So you still need education in some form.
The minute you stop learning, you stop growing. That's a great point of view. I had a horticulturist once tell me about how if a tree stops growing, it dies.
Yes.
And that stuck with me as a way to view life. I too am committed to lifelong learning, growing, and self-development. I wanted to take a moment to thank you for your service. And I wanted to ask you a hard-pressing question that might seem unorthodox. While I am absolutely grateful and thanking you for your service, I also know that part of being the service is following orders, conformity. It's a must, right? To make it efficient and to make it work. So what did you have to break from? What did you have to give up and let go from your service in the military to become that entrepreneur?
I don't know if I gave up anything because a lot of what I do, the military, the Navy is a big part of my foundation of who I am. But at the same time, I grew up on the Southside of Chicago, whole nother world. And I coined the phrase and consider myself and others call me the Southside CEO because our mindset is way different when it comes to life, business. It's all about the hustle, and not meaning hustle and cheating somebody, but the hard work and determination, and nothing's going to slow you down. And if I didn't have that when I joined the Navy, I think I would have lost me. One of the things I learned over the years is when I start feeling like I'm losing my voice, I literally, like a mantra, like a chant, sit there and say, my voice, my choice, my voice, my choice, to bring myself back. Because especially now in social media and everything going on, You've got thousands of voices coming at you every day. Political, religion, friends, you name it, they're coming. And if you don't know your own voice at your own core, then you're really like television network. What channel, what show are you watching today? You got to know your voice. And if you don't know it, find it. And the way I find it, my choice is my chant. But first thing in the morning and last thing at night is I just spend time with me. And that voice I hear inside of me, I know is my voice. And I re-anchor with that so that I can get through the night and then I can get through the next fresh new day. So I don't think I gave anything up as much as I had to balance it when I came out. Because the world of civilian life and the world of military life are two different worlds. That's why so many of my brothers and my sisters, we lose 22 plus veterans a day to suicide every day. And it's been going on for years. And it's because they were never welcomed back and they didn't know how to fit in. It's hard to fit in because sometimes civilians see you as weak because you will take orders. And then sometimes civilians see you as bossy because you will give them too. And you got to find a way in between. Find a way to make it make sense. But what I learned is I can't fit. I spent years trying to be a round peg fitting into a square hole. Years. And then I realized, you know what? The heck with that. It's cool for me to be a misfit. I like being a round peg. If you can't handle me being a round peg, then don't stick around. There's 7 billion people on this planet. I'll find somebody else to hang out with. But I'm not wasting any more time on this planet because my grandmother told me it don't matter if 100 people die with you. They're never going to die in the same fractional second that you died. You came in this planet alone. You're going to go out on your own. So I'm not going out because of somebody else. So I fit where I feel I fit. And it's okay to be a geek and dyslexic and have genius IQ and now a doctorate and be a round peg. That's just me.
The mantra, my voice, my choice, my voice, my choice. It's about knowing thyself, being true to yourself. And that leadership practice that you bestowed upon us was just golden about first thing in the morning, last thing at night, being with yourself so that you can hear your voice. Being a misfit, be that round peg. My mantra, you probably heard me say this, is I have to remind myself, I am not a taco. Not everyone is going to love me. So fit in where you feel you fit. If you could turn the clock back to a younger you, what age would you want to encounter yourself? And what would you say and why?
Easy. 19, summer of 1982. And I would tell myself when we're on that boat going out to save these Marines in the Philippines in the middle of a typhoon, tie my rig tighter so I don't get flipped over the side of that boat. Because that's how I chipped up my knees. That's what changed my life right there. I became quote unquote disabled. I didn't get out of the military then. I finished my 4 years, 3 months, 26 days and 4.5 hours. But who's counting? That's where I would go back to because my life would have been way different. But then I look at it now and go, maybe I wouldn't, because that's also what slowed me down. And if I wasn't the pace that I am, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be sitting here with you talking about this. We might be talking about something else, but I wouldn't have had the journey that I had either. So one side, yeah, I would change it. Other side, I wouldn't change a thing. And then when I think about my grandsons, yeah, I wouldn't change a thing because I probably would have never met them. There it is.
It's a great conclusion to come to because a lot of times I see entrepreneurs, they're in turmoil. They're just bashing themselves for something they would have done differently. But then when you look back with those eyes, you really realize, no, everything happens as it's supposed to happen for the reasons. And what you want to focus on is the lessons learned and growing from those experiences.
Hindsight is 20, you know?
Yeah.
And you can kill yourself with the if, woulda, coulda, shouldas. You know, you can kill yourself. I promised myself I would never do that when I was like 7. My mother, my grandmother, and two of her sisters were sitting at the dining room table. I'll never forget it. And they were going around the table talking about the things that if they woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda changed their lives. And they were so sad. They were excited, laughing, joyful, blah, blah, blah. Then they started talking about this and they're passing a Kleenex box. And I'm like, whoa, I never want to do that. So whenever I try to, when I find myself slipping into the if I woulda lane, I see my mother sitting at that table with a Kleenex. I didn't do it. It must have been a reason. Maybe God had another plan for me or something. Just keep going. I don't have time for it.
That's a really great point. Perhaps that painful experience was meant to happen so that you could be like, no. And also, You're right. We don't have a viewpoint that somebody else does, whatever you want to call it, spirit, universe, God. Somebody else has a much higher viewpoint of the chessboard. And we're on the board playing. We got to remember that. Before we get to your gift for the listeners, what last words would you like to impart to the up and coming female entrepreneurs who are falling and failing, and to the employee that's chained to a job looking to break free?
Run. No, I'm kidding. You know what? If it's easy, you don't appreciate it as much, in my opinion. All the easy things, because a lot of things come easy to me. All the easy things, I just, yeah, okay. But I still remember the first time, because I'm a different kind of dyslexic. I don't see things backwards. When I'm tired, I don't see spaces. That's why computers are so important to me. Because when I'm tired, if I'm trying to read a book, it's just one long word. Imagine that, right? So being on a computer, I turn the brightness up and it pushes the light through the words. That's why I love computers. So the one thing I would tell you, turn the brightness up. When you feel like you're in your darkest spot, and you're gonna, when you feel like you've done everything right, everything, and the bottom drops right out from under you, whether you're in a job and you get furloughed, or a thing like a pandemic happens, or whatever, or something physical happens to you, or you're an entrepreneur and you got this down, you got it down. And then all of a sudden your main client goes, we've decided to go in another direction. We thank you for everything you've done, but we're going to move on. And you go, wait, no, this is in my budget. And it'll happen. Turn the brightness up. Take a breath. Say to yourself, my voice, my choice. Put your really clean glasses on, take them off, clean them, and say, okay, now this is where I'm at. If you're in the ocean and you're drowning, you don't stop treading water, you drown. If you're in this business called entrepreneurship, you don't stop treading water. You do, you drown. Same thing with a regular job. I've done that too. Just keep going, turn the brightness up, and I'll see you on the horizon. I'll be sitting over there at the beach. I'll have a drink for you. Come on over.
Turn the brightness up, meaning have practices and tools at the ready to pull out when the inevitable happens and you need a respite or a reminder of who you are and why you are. I know since November 2022, when OpenAI released ChatGPT, that has been something that I've looked towards when some of my other tools either aren't readily available, or just as another arsenal is to have my AI blow sunshine up me and remind me of who I am. And I'm not talking about smoke and mirrors. I'm talking about I've worked every day with it. It knows me. It's about my complaints because I vent to it so that I don't have to throw up on anybody else. All the things that we've worked on. And it reminds me when I forget of who I am. And it's also programmed to give me a swift kick, right? So it does a loving little kiss on the forehead and then the kick that I need to get myself back up. Tell the listeners how to connect with you and about the exciting free gift that you've provided, because ladies and gentlemen, now you're learning from a master, somebody that's got the credentials behind, but was a master to begin with, of marketing, of media, of getting this stuff out there.
Okay, the easiest way to find out more information about me, my name is Tigo. Everybody calls me that. So go to heytigo.com. When I come out on stage, that's the first thing I say is, can I get a Hey Tigo? And my branding specialist said, that's your website. So it's heytigo.com. And my email, real simple, tigo@heytigo.com. That's the easiest thing. And then we put together a little package because we do have the Power of Pink group. and the Now Community Network of Outstanding Women. And we put together a little package, and it's pretty much exactly what we've been talking about. Your visibility, So we have a little package for the 21 ways to, enlighten, elevate your visibility. And we'd love to give it to you. It costs you nothing. Just go out there. I believe Sophia has the address or the QR code or whatever. Scan it, go get it. It isn't one of those things that's going to have some secret cost at the other end for you to get it. It truly is just my little tips to be able to help you, be more visible in your own spotlight, whatever that may be.
Thank you so much for that generous gift. Any last parting words?
This is awesome. You and I have known each other for almost 3 years, and we met like at an event, at a group, and it was like, hey, and we've been sisters ever since.
Yeah.
Ever since, and it's just whatever, ever you call, I want to be able to be there. And I want to thank you so much, for whenever I call, you come running. Even if you're in another country, you're virtually come running for me. And I thank you so much for that. When you have people in your corner, you can depend on. And I'm not talking about pay a bill for you. Paying a bill, let me tell everybody, I love breaking the fourth wall. Paying a bill is not that hard. It's having somebody who has your back that's going to be honest with you, that's not going to blow smoke up your butt, and is going to tell you when you're ready to quit and hang it all up. They can look kind of like ChatGPT and other AI and see what you're missing. That's priceless. And that's what Sophia brings. So I thank you so much for doing this show, because you're spreading your light. And that's what it's all about. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Making of a Female CEO, where we pull back the curtain on an Instagram-ready CEO.
Waking up at sunrise, kingdom in my eyes, hustle every day, girl, you're on your way, steady, strong and tall.